Hello, this is Shirakawa. Thank you for joining me again today.
Shirakawa-san, your account is really booming right now, isn't it? It's growing a lot.
Well, it's not that crazy, but for an account like mine, it's quite something.
You're almost at 2,000 followers, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, when I post about things that only people in the industry would understand, the response is really good. But when I post about things that are too negative, I don't know if everyone is just trying to avoid it, but there's absolutely no reaction at all.
So the response is weak to those kinds of posts? Ah, I see. That's easy to understand. Among those, there was one post that really took off. I happened to see it. You know how Funso withdrew from the Sapporo Hakodate route? Until last year, there was only one company operating it, right?
Yeah, that's right. In 2024, they clearly announced they were quitting midway, and then this year, it seems like another company also pulled out.
And you also mentioned that the other company isn't really able to transport much either, right?
Yeah, realistically, when you look at how things are going this week, it seems they just can't make it to Hakodate.
So what was brought up 2 years ago is actually becoming a reality now.
Yeah, that's right. Holding the event is becoming impossible.
So basically, out of 4 companies, 3 aren't going there anymore, right?
Yeah, in practice, there are 4 companies handling things, but as for all 4, one of them is barely taking any jobs at all.
So does that mean the number of vehicles going between Sapporo and Hakodate is actually decreasing? Is that the right impression?
I've heard that there are fewer horses being entered in races in Sapporo and Hakodate, and that there are even owners who have stopped using those tracks altogether. In the past, it was common for horses raised on Hokkaido farms to make their debut in Sapporo or Hakodate, but now, for horses making their debut or even those that have already debuted, they often return to Hokkaido from Rito or other parts of Japan. While the Hakodate track was open, it was common to send horses there to race. As for the horses that are already at Rito or in Honshu, many of them are being transported by transportation companies specializing in race horses.
So, as things stand this year, it seems like either Ichidaichuo or one company is handling the transportation, and it looks like things will work out for this year based on what we've discussed. But when it comes to whether the same thing can be done next year, it sounds like the situation might change again.
I think it's more likely that they won't do it rather than that they will. That's why we can't do it, and in any case, we can't keep it going forever. The customers who set this trend feel the same way. It's not about making a sudden drastic change. We also wanted to gradually create a new trend, so we made it clear and said we're withdrawing, and that's what we're doing now. So, for the places that quit this year, I don't really know how they informed their customers or how they handled it, but I'm sure there are customers who were surprised and thought, what?
Since we delivered every year, customers naturally expected we would do it again this year.
It's the same for us, but even if we properly send out notifications and do everything right, customers don't really read those kinds of messages carefully. So when it comes to how much we were actually able to inform people in advance, well, probably not even 10% read it. Honestly, we wanted to announce it much earlier too, but it ended up being delayed.
Also, there's the issue that we can't transport as many trucks anymore, and the fact that one company completely stopped is also related to the 2024 problem.
Yeah, and I would have to say that I guess it's because the transportation routes across Honshu are really incredibly busy.
That's right. The reduction in the number of OM routes has kind of shifted the workload and benefits over to the Honshu routes.
There are other companies too. As for us, we really try to follow the rules. Like I've said before, our biggest concern is that if we suddenly have to stop operations due to administrative penalties, it would cause the most trouble for our customers. That's why we're so careful. Also, this year, we're the only ones who have raised our prices. There are owners who say they don't like the price increase, that it's too expensive, and so they ask other companies, and physically we're making sure not to move their horses.
So as a result, other companies are transporting and moving those horses, right?
Yes, there are horses that we physically can't transport anymore, so they're being handled by other companies. Other companies must be pushing themselves harder than ever before.
That's exactly how it is on the ground. I'm actually a shareholder in a racehorse, and just yesterday, the horse I have a share in entered the training center. But when it comes to entering and leaving the facility, they only write a single line like, the horse will enter on this date. They never mention things like how crowded the transport companies are, right? In reality,
they're behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, you know. It's not exactly frustrating, but since I'm involved behind the scenes like this, I think I understand how it works. So as I read those notices, I find myself wondering things like, how far in advance did they contact the horse transport company to move this horse, and so on. I think about all that, and I realize there's no way they could just show up right away.
But that's the thing. I've thought about this for a while too, precisely because it's such a specialized field. There's always been talk about it since long ago. Like how some horses are said to handle transportation well, while others don't.
Yeah, I've heard something like that before.
Like when horses are transported for races, sometimes on the day of the race, sometimes the day before, they can lose weight during transport, like 10 kilograms or so. And of course, that affects their performance. For example, in Kyushu, they use that particular transport company, right? Horses transported by that company often lose weight, don't they?
North too.
It's the same in Hokkaido as well, but that company has a lot of issues, doesn't it? Right? And when it's over, a lot of people end up losing their stamina. So, for example, people who reach out to us or to Choku-san for requests, I think they're making a comprehensive judgment in various ways. But when you realize things like that, or when you find out about a lot of those issues, you can't really choose, can you? Well, maybe you technically can choose, but if you can't transport things now, it just puts a burden on others. It's the same thing. There's no way a single company can take on everything. I think that's part of the reason too. Maybe that's why they can't make it public.
Exactly, that's the point.
Since it's private, they might not share it with you.
For example, one of my other horses broke a bone in its leg and was just sent up to Hokkaido. In that case, the decision was made pretty quickly and the horse was moved right away. Since the leg bone was fractured, they said, we'll send it to Hokkaido. And by the next day or the day after, the horse had already been transferred. There are a lot of cases where you suddenly want to move a horse like that, right? That's what I think. But if the number of places that can accept such horses keeps decreasing, it seems like there will be more and more situations where you'll have to keep the horse at a nearby facility for quite a while. So I was looking at my own recent situation and...
Yes, especially with syndicate clubs, since they own a lot of horses. Sometimes a horse that was originally supposed to be transported gets swapped out for another one that can be sent out in the summer.
Substitutions work?
Yes, and whether or not a horse is used for racing is also a factor. That's why individual owners are finding it harder and harder to enter races. In reality, it's because the slots are already being held down.
Since there are more horses, those slots are already filled by the syndicate's horses from the start.
Right, so...
Always different.
If, for example, a different horse was originally scheduled to go, but you postpone that one and ask to send this one first, as long as the place they live and their destination are the same, then it's just a matter of coordinating the males and females later on.
Even so, major owners or syndicate clubs can move horses around more easily. It's just easier for clubs to make those adjustments.
That's right, so...
Even with that, the Sapporo and Hakodate routes are still tough. No matter what, the number of flights can't be increased, so...
We can't just endure it or get by.
So, based on what you just said, if there are a set number of flights and if a club or a major owner has secured a lot of those slots, they can swap them around and manage to transport their horses. But the reality is, with the Sapporo and Hakodate flights, no one can really transport horses anymore. There are more transports to Honshu or nearby areas, and there just aren't enough flights to begin with. So, even if you try to swap slots or say, I want to move this horse now, it just can't be done as easily.
That's right. Well, the number of people available was already decreasing, so there are situations where we just can't use those resources. Well, as for other places besides ours, whether they will completely stop or not is another matter. There are also places saying we can't do it right now, and in our case, or even places where doctors have completely withdrawn, I think they probably have the same idea. In the end, there's a high possibility that we won't be able to hold the event. If that's the case, then for us, especially from the beginning, we anticipated that possibility, so we decided to move ahead and try various things. We decided it would be better to create a new flow while still protecting what we have, so we took action. I'm sure everyone could see this coming. And as things became more and more likely, after thinking about which option would be better, we figured that if it was going to end anyway, it would be best to stop from the beginning.
Just wrap it up.
I also think there's an argument to be made for focusing our efforts on the main area. For example, if we blame it on ourselves, well, it's because of things like that. It's tough, but if you put it that way, it makes it easier to have an excuse to turn things down.
So, for example, withdrawing from Sapporo and Hakodate and focusing on Honshu isn't just a company-level decision. It's really a matter of management when you think about it.
That's right. Shifting management, well, I don't really know for sure. We've talked about this before, maybe even today when it was made public. About leaving the club, right? The department manager was talking about it too. The turnover rate is good, but with Sapporo Oil, it just takes time. You might think Hokkaido is close, but actually it's not. After leaving the company, you have to load up, deliver to the racetrack, then pick up the return cargo, unload it at the farm, and finally return to the company. By the time you've done all that, the whole day is already over.
I've heard that in the past. There were even times when, after washing the truck, you'd have to head out again. This year, even though many companies have cancelled the Sapporo Hakodate route, when you actually look at the schedule, it's running as usual. Hakodate starts on June 20th, and the flow is pretty much the same as every other year, isn't it? The real issue is...
Yeah, I guess that's just how it is. But that's also related to the so-called 2027 issue next year, right? The horse racing schedule is going to change, and they've announced measures to deal with the heat, haven't they?
There's going to be 7 races. Well...
There are all sorts of issues at the racetracks, you know. This is the so-called 2024 problem. As a result, it's not that everything is directly connected, but, for example, the space for transport trucks is way too small, or it takes a lot of time, or you can't properly load and unload in one go, or only 2 trucks can be handled at a time, things like that. There's only about that much space. Yeah, so companies keep losing time one after another right from the start. Well, we've been petitioning about these kinds of problems, but maybe it's just that our influence is limited. So in the end, it's more of a theoretical discussion like, next year we'll do this, but I think it can actually be done, don't you? I don't really know. Even this year, in this situation, I have no idea how things will turn out.
That's how it feels. On the surface, everything looks normal as usual, but what's really going on behind the scenes, I honestly don't know. It seems like everyone is just barely managing by pushing themselves to the limit.
With this kind of unprecedented way of holding events, the JRA often makes things public first, and then we find out by seeing those announcements. That happens a lot, but there are also various other things that come up from time to time. Not just for us, but also for people working on site, like those with pen names or the arbitration staff. After all, there are quite a lot of similar situations like that. Last year in Niigata, with the heat countermeasures, they took a break during the day and then resumed at night, and apparently that was quite a struggle.
Yeah, that's right. Taking a break in between like that.
Exactly. Originally paramedics and others have to wake up early in the morning, do advanced preparations, get ready for the races, and then even if you put the horses in the stables halfway through, there's still aftercare and all sorts of things to do, and before you know it, it's time for the next task. Since things don't just end with the flow, even during the breaks, we have to keep working as usual, and before it starts again, there's more preparation to do. It ends late, and from now on, there won't even be time to sleep.
And then, if the next day starts with regular morning training again, it's like a life house, isn't it?
So in the end, when you keep doing things like that, security guards end up quitting, and fewer people want to become security guards. There's already a shortage of security staff, so the question is, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, it's like all the burden gets pushed onto others, right? At the site level, that's exactly what's happening now.
I'm not sure if that's really okay, but that's the cycle that keeps happening. Maybe it's less physically demanding than running an actual race in the extreme heat, though.
But just as an image, that there are some horses that when they arrive at the racetrack from the training center, they switch on, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, oh, it's race time. They're in that tense state, and then they're made to wait for a really long time. I feel like that could really affect them mentally.
Yeah, that's true, for sure.
Flipped.
They've switched on, but then they're left wondering when the race is actually going to start. That could definitely happen, depending on the situation. Everyone's in the same boat, but trainers and paramedics, for example, don't have experience with the horse's condition in that situation.
I see, that's true.
It's probably an unknown world for them.
There are probably some horses that actually do better that way.
Yep.
Some horses probably won't do well with it.
That's right.
There are all sorts of things, aren't there? Anyway, this year, if I can, I'd like to go to Hakodate racecourse. Hakodate...
Why not just go? You can fly to Hakodate airport and rent a car. I don't know how many flights there are, though.
But based on what we've been talking about, we're saying maybe we shouldn't go, but then you say you wish you had gone.
Well, it hasn't been that long since it was renovated. Either way, even if they really can't hold events there anymore, I hope they'll do something with it.
Yeah, I hope they'll make good use of it, that's right.
It also creates jobs there, In many ways that's important, using new funds, creating new employment. But if it's not going to work out before it even starts, they need to make a decision, otherwise those people will end up suffering again.
That's true. People just get tossed around and that's not good.
Right, for the whole industry to have a discussion, it ends up meaning that I have to properly prepare the materials.
In the end, it always comes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I guess that's about it for today. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you very much. At Owen Transport, we are recruiting drivers. Please check out our recruitment site and corporate website linked in the description. If you're interested, please apply. We would really appreciate it.